you guys go way back, and we're going to get into that for a second, but thanks for joining us.
We may be the two white guys who have spoken to you more than any other white guys in your life, possibly.
Actually, that might be facts.
That's a fact.
That is actually
all hours for sometimes a long time. You got to put the phone down and come back. He's still talking. So that's the great part of this. This all comes back together. This for you guys, it all started. You were a pioneer, Gil. Yeah. In a lot of ways, we know that with a blog.
We wasn't first though, right?
Well, no. So what happened was back in the 2005, 2006 season, the NBA was using a platform called the blog, but it wasn't really a blog. They chose like 5-6 players a year that they thought they would have team cooperation from the PR staff to get regular interviews, and also players they wanted to promote. So like back then, it was Chris Kaman on the Clippers, Marcus Camby on the Nuggets. I think there were some others who came and went, but Gilbert, was kind of selected by Zach Bolno of the Wizards, and also the league office thought he'd be someone good to promote. You came over from the Warriors, was making some noise on the court, getting buckets. And I was fresh with NBA.com. I was a year out of college. And it was like, oh, we got a young guy in Gilbert. You're young. Yeah, how about you just do it? And okay, so the NBA.com offices were in Secaucus, New Jersey. And they said, how about, rather than do it over the phone, which was the scheduled plan, and, Zach Bolton would hold you hand over his razor phone.
Razor phone,
it threw me on the Amtrak and went down to DC for the day, and we met in like the Players Lounge at the Verizon Center back then. And, we were supposed to get 10 minutes. We got about 30 minutes, and I don't know, it just kind of worked. We were two guys that like talking hoops.
Yeah, what's funny, it started off as what? Was it a diary? It's supposed to be like a diary, right?
Yeah, it was like kind of an as told to type of thing, right? And then, it was the convergence of, so much content being put on the internet at the time. This is pre-Twitter, this is pre-Instagram. So it was kind of the time where more than an athlete, it was kicking in with that before being labeled that by LeBron James. It was, the player empowerment movement starting. And it kind of a couple things worked. Namely, what worked was your performance on the court. You were electric back then. And then your ability to take us inside to all those moments. So it was
such a good idea. Also, though, I don't know if they knew what they were going to unleash.
No, it was what made it popular was because you get the inside of that week of everything I was doing on the court, which our style gave them what was really going on versus interviews during after the game on a loss or something where, you're just getting my response with no thought right then there. A week goes by and then those questions come, I get to really put some time into them and make them funny, put the humor in it, cleans it up.
A lot of cleanup.
A lot of cleaning up.
And also, this is the NBA property. This is not just...
So when it was like, man, you're funny. I was like, it's kind of not me. It's kind of not me. Someone has to clean that all up and put his style on it too.
And even guys like, Dave, this like Chris Kaman, we could say this respectfully. He's not as cool or you got to break that down a little bit. That's as on the media side, I think that happens where, he's not going to be a great interview. He's not going to give me a good soundbite because they're just stiff personality. So you want that personality too.
It also gave us really no structure or rules, even back then, even in the internet content culture, you're keeping an article to 800 words, maybe 1,000 words, depending on the in-depth nature of it. Sometimes we do a blog post where we talk literally for 2.5 hours and we would run 2,500 words. And it didn't matter because the audience came to appreciate, one week maybe it'd be you doing a top 10 list of point guards from the 80s or something like that, whatever was on your mind. And then literally the next week it could be a in-depth talk about, what it means to be a point guard. I remember that one you were very passionate about because you felt like no one really understood what the position required. And it's funny about looking back at that now, is like we were on the forefront of the 3-point, the space movement, and you were one of the guys recognizing like, hey, no disrespect to John Stockton, like, but like he was the archetype for so many basketball fans for so long, and it's like you have to recognize there's a shift happening here.
Wait, you said no disrect to
No,
that
was me.
That's where the cleanup comes in from. Because I would say the real,
right,
and then he cleans it up.
Right.
It makes me look good.
Right. So, somebody's got to do it.
Makes me not look so rude when I'm saying it, because that's what it was. It was, and I don't think anybody, you watch how I played and you listen to the outlandish stuff, I would say for attention, and no one understood the details of some of the things I was thinking about or talking about. And doing the research on point guards and understanding that the Steve Nash, the John Stockton, this mode didn't win championships.
Right.
It was offset by, someone they didn't understand, and that understanding was Magic Johnson.
Right.
You didn't understand that's a freak of nature. A 6'9", 3, 1, 2, whatever he wanted to be, you didn't understand it.
Right. Jump center in a finals game.
Yeah, you just said, oh, he's making everyone better. He's a point guard, because that's what the point guards do. Right. And you labeled a player. you labeled an actual player. And that's what happens. You label, like LeBron. You labeled a player. LeBron plays whatever LeBron wants to play. 1, 2, 3. Like this year, they're like, oh yeah, he's a point guard this year. Well, he's led his team in assists every year he's played. So technically, he's been the point guard his whole career.
Right.
Like, you're just giving him the label now. Right. And when I was saying it, people didn't understand it. Right. You didn't understand, like, I'm the new mode. I'm what you want. I'm just a tool. I'm a weapon.
But it was so much newness. Is not only like you playing this new style, or this style that was becoming, really what it's been the league the last 15 years, but it was you. It was, first of all, people going to YouTube to watch clips more often than they ever had. It was people hearing your voice, mostly unfiltered, on the blog, and that just didn't exist before.
And for that to come from the NBA itself in their digital property, which is pretty cool, because you would think an outlier media company would say, like, we want to get inside with players and like make a name for ourselves, make a splash. But the league actually did that, which tells me they know how to market. They want to promote their players.
But it wasn't, I think it was one of those things where it was like a tester, because if you look at the guys they had, it was 5 of us, 4 bland. It was like just
it was like the young buck.
No, it was just 4 bland person. It was, I think Dunleavy was one of them.
Dunleavy.
It was 4 bland person, because I think they were testing it out.
Right. But I think also it was you took the interest in it, because it was scheduled to be like once every couple weeks. Dave from your office in Secaucus, email the Wizards PR guy. He'll find 5 minutes after practice to hand Gilbert a phone. No disrespect to Zach, because he did a great job. I liked working with him, but we kind of cut out the middleman. We exchanged numbers, and it was like, we could do 3 in a week. We could do it at midnight after a game.
And what, traditionally, I think we'll get into that locker room environment, which is a whole nother thing, post game and what have you. But what outlets really want is access and exclusivity. So it's like, if I'm going to get you, I'd much rather you at home, in an environment where you're not thinking about basketball, you're sort of off the clock, and then you're going to be way more easier to deal with. Versus like right after a game, I don't really want to talk to you. Like, let's do this on a day that I'm available. And guys are much more willing to participate.
I mean, some guys are. I think you saw, one, the influence of the blog. I remember there was some day where I wish I remember what we talked about. Maybe it was something about you wanted to get back at the USA coaches for you not making the team, right? So I think we put that in the blog for the first time.
Yeah.
And then it goes up on the internet, and then sometimes you just don't know where that's going to go, right?
Yeah.
And a couple hours later, it's one of the first topics on PTI.
Yeah.
And you recognize, like, I can program PTI.
Yep.
I can change what people are watching on TV.
So that, you remember what happened at blog, right? You remember that conversation when I called you ranting?
Yeah.
I ranted.
Yeah.
It was a fucking rant. And I said that the way he's coaching, they will not win gold.
Yes.
I remember I said that. They
Yes.
would not win gold the way he's coaching. He has all the shooters on the bench and he has all the drivers and slashers on one team. It's not a combo, so it's a clash. And I said, they're not gonna win gold. And then I called you and said, you know what? Just take that out. I don't want those problems. And then you hear me say, yo, they lost.
Yeah, they lost to Greece.
Yeah, they lost to Greece. But I said, yo. And then our post went up, and it was like right before you was gonna post it. I said, just take that part out. And you posted it and did that. And then they lost.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where I was like,
no, you're right.
Yeah, I don't want those problems. Just take it out. I don't want people just.
Was there, I mean, maybe that was it, but was there ever an entry where like, man, I don't know if we could put this one out, or never did see the light?
Well, the one, I think I've shared this before, but the one that's like the classic story was, so I basically had my dream job. I'm covering the NBA, a couple years out of college, working with like one of the most exciting scorers in the game at the time. And, Gilbert, I have a pretty irreverent sense of humor. Like Larry David's my idol. So like nothing's really gonna faze me. So Gilbert's antics, I found the humor in him. But, you had teammate Andre Bloch, and he was one of the guys you liked to, needle. And, whether that was taking some sort of razor to cut the back of his uniform so his name reads Andre Bitch, or taking out the sole of his shoe and defecating in the shoe. I thought
you did defecate and you picked up defecation.
Picked up defecation. Yeah, that's an important detail. Very important detail. But I think this is one of the. This is like a story you read about, like the ABA in the '70s or something like that. So I'm like, this is great behind the scenes stuff. And you wanted to get it in there because I think you wanted to kind of like haze the rookie a little bit more. Have Andre be known that he was a guy that had to go through this. But my bosses are looking at me like I have three heads. Like, you're really trying to die on this hill that you want to invest on NBA.com, write about a player in a shoe. And like, I had to check myself that, your humor isn't for everybody.
Yeah. And what's so funny is, and then that became a story that everyone wanted to write about.
Right.
It was just one of those things that, that's what happened. Let me be the first one to write about it. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah,
because it came out later, anyway, not on the blog. Yeah,
you stole our stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
You stole our information.
Right.
Like that, and I think I was consciously leaving out information for media just for the blog. I think I sensed that.
Sorry,
the blog was
sorry, Michael Lee. Sorry, Ivan Carter.
And I thought back then the blog was helping the exposure because everyone got to read it versus just Washingtonians.
Right.
Doing the interview for, Michael Lee and them.
Right.
Mike Wise,
Dan Steinberg, all those guys. Yeah.
It's not easy when you're a pioneer. You got to blaze a trail. But Dave, for you, after that, those days, that chapter, I mean, things kind of skyrocketed. And I guess we can catch people up on your career. So came from Syracuse. Yep. It is, Gil, we're going to call it the Duke of media programs in college, the elite.
It is the elite.
If you want to work in journalism.
It's also a pretty elite basketball program Syracuse, as well. I mean, top 10 all-time wins.
Wait, Syracuse pushes out a lot of media?
I mean, you could probably run down.
Are you serious?
Bob Costas, I'm screwing up.
Mike Tirico.
Yeah, Mike Tirico.
Dick Stockton.
Oh, okay. And
Dave, of course.
Nick Friedel, Pete Thamel. We got some folks out in the field.
Okay.
Exactly.
So it made sense. He was a young guy, new on the scene. NBA scoops him up.
Ian Eagle, Noah Eagle. Come on, you got to know this stuff. Like you would tell me about like. The most obscure fact about how stuff is manufactured in Tibet, now that you have a blog, you can learn.
Now I gotta do my research in history.
Right. He's West Coast bias, so that's the only thing, so you might not know. And I don't know about programs. Syracuse basketball program all time. That's an orange man defending the program a little too hard.
How many 20-win seasons do we have? Hall of Fame coach, 2003. Yeah, I got a ring back home.
So you were working for the team.
Yeah, I was a manager for the team. So I was like a bench player in my high school team. The best part about college, you got all this free time, and so I was playing like all the time, and I got to know some of the guys on the team. Back then, I'm not like I have a pretty good shot, but I've never like a great basketball player or anything like that. But back then they only had 2 walk-ons on the team. Years later, walk-ons GPA counted for the team GPA. So Mike Hopkins, our assistant coach, who's now the head coach of Washington, he's a LA guy too, Mater Dei High School. He tells me, if you went to school 5 years later, you would have been a walk-on all 4 years. You're killing me. That's the worst thing. It's like the best thing and the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. But yeah, so like, I tried out for the team my freshman year, didn't make it. One of our assistant coaches invited me on to stay as a manager. And so to me, it was the best thing. I'm in the gym every day, and, doing some practice drills with guys, and came in the same time as Akeem Warwick, who was a Philly kid. And so I got to see his progression. He ended up having an 8-9 year career in the NBA. My sophomore year, Carmelo comes in, we win the championship. And it was cool because from an early age, the sports media thing was something, I started writing for newspapers when I was 14. So I knew I wanted to do that. That's why I went to Syracuse. But then I was able to see like the athlete perspective when the Syracuse Post-Standard newspaper reporters came into the locker room. And I'd see the interview, and I'd see the players talk, because I was in the locker room the whole time. I was with the team, not with the media. So I'd see how the players would react to certain media members and their approach. And I think it wasn't like I was taking notes, but I think that kind of helped me just recognize like, you're kind of, if you're an athlete, especially a big time athlete who has attention on you from the time you're 14, like so many people are bringing so much stuff at you all the time. So you got to be really intentional about what you do in order to make an impact. And some people do that by being bombastic or whatever. I just tried to be as prepared as possible, know what I'm talking about, be confident enough to, if a player was to challenge my line of questioning or thought process, to not like shrink and not be able to accept a back and forth. And most of the guys I would have a back and forth with are the guys I had the best relationships with. You end up, because you recognize like, okay, now we've broken past athlete and reporter, like you're a dude, I'm a dude, let's have a conversation versus let's have an interview. So.
And that's what you said, it's relationships. Yeah. Because especially when you're, when you got in with ESPN, you were covering traditional beat. Like that kind of
so which I hadn't really done. I was really fortunate enough to start at ESPN having had that kind of unconventional time at NBA.com. At NBA.com, I was writing features, and we did the blog together. I did the rookie rankings, but I wasn't doing the day-to-day practice grind. And ESPN hired me to be the Lakers beat writer, and I come into a team that is Phil Jackson as a head coach. I literally had posters of him on my wall with the Chicago Bulls team thing. Kobe Bryant is a star player. Kobe went to the rival high school of my high school. So I saw Kobe play from the time I was in like 7th grade, and he's a junior in high school. So, and also like he was someone, as I was trying to become a player, like that's who I wanted to play So you have these figures that are like in your imagination growing up, and then you're dealing with them on a day-to-day basis. And you're trying to corroborate what you think they should be based on what you've seen from the media to what they actually are. And sometimes being encouraged and surprised for the good from that, but also sometimes being like, man, like, that kind of sucks. I wish I didn't know you were like that. And I'm not saying that on Phil or Kobe specifically, or just like any of these guys, because I was like, one of the reasons Gilbert and I get along is like, I think we were both just as obsessed about the NBA growing up. So, when that comes to life, there's magic to it, but sometimes disappointment.
But the life of a beat writer and that role as a player, it's a funny thing because these guys are around you all the time. It's a familiar thing. And there are times like you want to talk to them. There are times you want to just be left alone. Yeah. What were you thinking when these guys come through? Like, how do you handle the media in that sense if they're the regular guys versus like the one day it's a big production?
I remember, so with me in high school, I was shy. So, I was like kind of, shy when they was like, oh, we're going to do interviews. Yeah. I'm like, I don't
Right.
Like, coach, you do that. I just want to play.
Right.
And then, once I got to Arizona, and media's coming in, and I remember it was like one of my first interviews in the locker room, and it was like, what did you hear about, like, what do you think about IUPUI? Right? And I was like, oh yeah, my Jason said they're from Indiana and they suck like shit. Like, so we should just beat the hell out of them. And that was my answer. And it was like,
which is like gold to any report.
Yeah. Like, right. And then that became like this thing.
Right.
And we ended up beating the shit out of them. But it was like, that's fuel for the team. You can't do that.
Right.
It's like, fuel. If they suck, they suck. What do you gotta, like, how hard can a sorry team play?
That's true.
Okay, we don't supposed to beat them by 50, we beat them by 48. Okay, cool. And that was my, so then I just started watching, listening to other players, and then, trying to figure out how it all works. What are they looking for? What are the traps here? And then, so when I got to Golden State, same thing, my first interview, I'm gonna be starting by middle of the season, and I'm just going.
Yeah.
And then I had to learn, the process, and then learn who did what, who wanted to write what.
Yeah.
Like, who was the antagonizer, who was trying to get a clean story, who was trying to get the sound bites.
Right.
And then, once I realized what everyone was, it was fair game.
Yeah.
Now I know, okay, Dave is serious, so I can't really joke with Dave, and then this guy loves jokes, he wants this. So, I never really had bad, there was really no one I didn't like, because I already studied, who everyone was. So I wasn't one of those guys, oh, this man. And then when he come in here, I'm giving him something, which he doesn't care, he gets it anyway. So instead of that, I just really learned who everyone was, what they wrote, who's, read, okay, this person said this, all right. Someone says, okay, off the record. Okay, when he said that to this person, was it really off the record? Sure. Who can you trust, who you can't?
Yeah. I remember though, there was, and this made me know that like the DC press, you had a good relationship with them. Because there was one game where you kind of went off about, like, you guys don't work that hard. Like, I work hard. And you were talking about, like, you don't recognize, like, you see me at the game at a shoot around, but like, I'm getting up shots afterwards, and I'm doing the weightlifting stuff, and you're like, you guys come and you write about the game, and I'm like, no one like took offense to that. I was like, one, there's two things going on here. Either like you're just so affable and funny that like it's all good, or like maybe they weren't working hard enough, because I feel like I work pretty hard to do this job the right way. But I think that's I appreciated that you did understand that, because I'm not looking to really be friends with the guys I cover, like friendly, I want to have a respectful relationship, but I have my friends, I have my family, like some guys I like more than others, but I don't want them to ever, an athlete to feel like I'm trying to like wedge myself into your life. I just want to be, in the time we have a chance to interact, let's be real and let's understand why we're here. I do have a job to do. I understand you have a job to do. Let's both do our job, and I'm going to be around. And if I do something you don't like, I'll be there. So you can approach me, tell me to my face, and we can move on like adults. And I've had times where a player I covered didn't talk to me for months, but that same player, and I won't say his name, but that same player I saw, after Kobe Bryant died, and we hugged like a real hug, I think it's relationships.
Something is I tell like if I get a chance to tell kids or just players, like, listen, everyone has a job to do.
Yeah.
And if you, like, you got to remember, I said, from the media side part, they're studying you. That's what their job is, to get to know who you are. Yep. Your job is to do the same thing, since you're interacting with them all the time. Yep. So instead of saying, well, he wrote this bad about me, I don't want to talk to him for a month.
Right.
What did you do? What did he write?
Right.
Is it true or not? Because like you can clean that up. Like that's what I said. Like you have people who like I said, like, listen, reporters have their favorites, they have their worst. Like, but you got to remember, they are sports fans, period, because they're doing this job so they are fans, period.
Sure.
Yeah, they have their favorites where, like, if you grew up on Michael Jordan and you're writing for the Bulls, you're never going to say anything bad about Michael Jordan because that is your favorite player. Right. You know what I mean? So that's an advantage. You just got to know the advantages you have and use them to your ability and not.
Right. And you should recognize, like, okay, you've probably had a teammate, right, as a basketball player at some time in your life that they made the wrong play because they were selfish or whatever. Like there's other guys, they made the wrong play because they didn't read it right or they just didn't have the ability to make that play. Same thing with media guys. There's just some media guys who purposely are trying to push the needle, have an agenda, get gotcha type quotes out of their guys. There are media guys who publish stuff that's inaccurate, which is the worst thing you do in this business. But there's people sometimes who publish stuff that's inaccurate because they're taken advantage by sources. The same way a player could be mistreated by a front office member or an agent. Guess what? That happens with the media too sometimes. And so if you recognize that, like, we're all in this like highly charged competitive environment, if people are in it for the right reasons, now this is my definition of the right reasons, is to tell stories that celebrate the game and offer an insight you can't find otherwise, you know, that should be something that would be benefit to the player if the player actually loves basketball. Because I think the guys I haven't got along with, I feel like weren't really in it for basketball.
And then you call them out on it and they get mad.
Right, they get mad.
You know, and I remember one time, because, you know, I'm the jokester. So I have fun with all the, you know, the reporters. And I remember one guy came in and he was like, yeah, you know, sources are saying that, you know, players are, they're upset that you're shooting the ball a little bit too much. Okay. And I was like, the sources? Or you mean him? Because you can tell him, I ain't giving him shit. Right. He ain't getting the ball. Right. You know what? Right. He ain't getting the ball for the next 3 games. How about that? Right. Write that in the article. Right. And then what's so funny, none of it even came out. He didn't write nothing about it because that was his angle. I'm like, you tell him he ain't getting the fucking ball no more now. Right.
But the funny thing is that, like, depending on the dynamic of your locker room, like, you know, I missed this era because I was Kobe pal, but Kobe Shaq was, you know, Shaq had certain reporters on the team that were Shaq guys, and Kobe had Kobe guys. And Shaq would say something in the paper that the Shaq guy writes about it, and then the Kobe guy would read it, he'd go to Kobe, and Kobe would say something, and then it would be the Kobe guy to have it in his paper. And that's what it was like for years. And it worked. And guess what? Because it brought more attention to the game at the end of the day, right? And guess what? More attention means more viewers. More viewers means bigger television contracts. Bigger television contracts mean more money in the player's pocket.
That era of the NBA and the Lakers was just such a soap opera. Jeff Pearlman wrote that book, and it was like, that's such a soap opera. As working the media, like, you have a field day with that because it's like every day.
But that's still today. Like, and you know, it still works. The media, you can use the media to your advantage too. Like, it's the power of the pen.
I think guys
either it can be against you or it can be with you.
But I think guys they're less reckless. Like back then, it was just, like I said, it was different. Well, now everyone's more prepared at a younger age.
Some are, and then some, they have the outlet to just do it themselves on Twitter or Instagram or their own platform.
They can change. Now they have the power to change a narrative. Right. Like, if it's written bad about them, they can kind of clean it up. You know, do a little damage, because once it was in the paper, it was in the paper. Yeah. And that's what I realized, and that's why that's why I always took the same approach that, you know, like, I'm not gonna beat against the pen. You can't beat the pen. Right. You know what I mean? You can't beat the pen. Especially back then. Right. You know, that's why, like, I'll do this and then the blog. So, like, if something was written bad about me, the blog kind of changes because, like, well, no, his personality, this is his personality